This is Carol Ledoux, young, beautiful, desirable. Repulsion, a frightening film that takes the everyday world and distorts it, taking you inside the mind of a girl driven to insanity. No other film has ever shown with such intense reality the terrifying journey into madness.
I want to be with you all the time.
In the attractive body of this beautiful girl throbs the mind of a killer. Carol Ledoux, possessed by the nightmare world of her sensual fantasy.
Tell me, thou unknown power.
He knows, I thought.
Macbeth. Beware, Macduff. Beware the vein of life. Thou hast harped my fear aright. But one word more.
He will not be commanded.
Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of man. For none of
woman born shall harm Macbeth.
None of woman born shall harm Macbeth. None of woman born. Then live, Macduff. What need I fear of thee? But yet I'll make assurance double sure, and take a bond of fate. Thou shalt not live!
Los Angeles, 1937. There are lots of guys like J.J. Gitters. They're easy to find, if you want to find them.
Mr. Gitters, have we ever met?
Well, no.
Never?
Never.
Since you agree with me that we've never met before, you must also agree with me that I've never hired you to do anything, certainly not spy on my husband. I don't get tough with anyone, Mr. Gitters. My lawyer does.
You do your job. And sometimes you find the answers to questions that should never be asked. Or you find out what happens to people who ask them.
Hold it there, kitty cat. You're a very nosy fellow, kitty cat, huh? You know what happens to nosy fellows?
I dislike the word cheat.
Did you have affairs?
Mr. Gitters.
Did he know about it? Where were you when your husband died?
What time did I go to sleep?
You didn't go to sleep. You passed out. From now on, you get cocktails or wine, not cocktails and wine, huh?
The dreams I had.
Don't yell. I already filed them down. I didn't want to miss baby night.
You...
And a couple of my nails were ragged, and it was kind of fun in a necrophile sort of way.
I dreamed someone was raping me. I don't know, someone inhuman.
Thanks a lot. What's the matter?
Nothing.
I didn't want to miss the night.
We could have done it this morning or tonight. Last night wasn't the only split second.
No, I was a little bit loaded myself.
to be told factually. People have the right to their own opinions about what happened, but they don't have the right to their own facts.
You know what happens to nosy fellows? Huh? No?
He became famous as the director of such classics as Chinatown and Rosemary's Baby. But ever since 1978, Roman Polanski has been infamous for having sex with a 13-year-old girl and fleeing the United States. The 76-year-old director was arrested Saturday in Switzerland on his way to the Zurich Film Festival. He may now be extradited back to the U.S.
He was a fugitive. Well, now he's no longer a fugitive. He was arrested pursuant to a warrant issued by over 3 decades ago.
Polanski has lived in his native France for those past 3 decades, where authorities would not arrest him. He continued his work, garnering a Best Director Oscar for his 2002 movie, The Pianist. If brought back to the U.S. now, he may face time behind bars.
I think it's likely that he's going to spend time in prison. He won't get the maximum that he might have gotten 30 years ago, but I think he will get a significant prison time.
Polanski's life has often made headlines. He was married to actress Sharon Tate when she was murdered by followers of Charles Manson in 1969. It was 8 years later that the director was accused of drugging and raping the 13-year-old girl he was photographing. He pled guilty to unlawful sexual intercourse in 1978 and was sent to prison for 42 days of evaluation. He fled the country when the judge tried to renege on a plea bargain. He talked to 60 Minutes about it in 1978.
You ran away, Roman. You ran away.
Well, I
as you say, ran away because I think that I was very unfortunate to have a judge who misused justice.
The judge is now dead, and even Polanski's victim has asked that the charges be dropped.
I've had a long time to get over it, and I wouldn't want to carry hard feelings around with me for my whole life.
Meanwhile, the director's friends are outraged by his arrest.
I'm ashamed to be Swiss, that Swiss is doing such a thing.
Every now and then you meet someone whose life seems singled out by fate for great achievement and great despair. A couple of weeks ago on Turning Point, we told you about the Manson followers who killed a beautiful young actress named Sharon Tate. Tonight, you're going to hear from the man who was her husband, Roman Polanski. He hasn't given a television interview in 10 years. He was, by all accounts, a brilliant movie director when he fled this country for refuge in Europe. His friends say it's a strange comment on America that a presumed terrorist, Sheikh Rahman, is allowed to live in America. But Roman Polanski, after all these years, is still treated like a public enemy. It's been a long time since Americans have seen or heard anything from you.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Do you want to come back?
I certainly would like to be able to go back without any problems. I still, can we start it again?
Of course.
I need a second.
That's how it began, a little tense, a little nervous, as Roman Polanski faced an American audience for the first time in more than a decade. France cannot extradite him to the U.S. He now lives in Paris. 6,000 miles, 16 years in exile from the community where he went from emperor to outcast. One night he had sex with a 13-year-old girl. A day later, the director was arrested, accused of rape, despite his protests.
I think at that time, I had a hard time to persuade myself that it was wrong. Because I don't think anybody was hurt.
You don't?
At that time, I said. Later on, I realized, I was too close to the forest to see the trees.
A brilliant career was shattered.
I became a pariah in 24 hours. They dropped my first picture as a hot potato that then I found myself without any money, not even to pay for my defense.
It was the latest dark turn in the life of a man who had seen so much darkness before. You can see the powerful echoes in so many of his films. Knife in the Water, his first feature, a psychological chess game which catapulted his work onto the cover of Time magazine in 1963, and him out of Poland into Hollywood. Then the breakthrough film Repulsion, with its shocking glimpses of the darkest corridors of the mind.
Most people never have to face the fact that at the right time, in the right place, they're capable of anything.
There was Chinatown, that tale of hearts blackened by corruption and lust. And the edgy blend of horror and heightened reality in his first big hit, Rosemary's Baby.
This is no dream. This is really happening.
So many of the scenes were shot with the camera looking up in confused panic, like the memory of a frightened child.
If I were making a film about myself, I would definitely start with my childhood, which made me what I am today.
Polanski's childhood in the Krakow ghetto was the very nightmare in the movie Schindler's List, with one difference. The Polanski family was not protected by Schindler's or any other list.
They wanted to take my sister. She was not there. And my mother went instead. She went to Auschwitz, direct.
Then he saw his father being marched away at gunpoint. The father tried to save the son.
I wanted to be with my father. He said in Polish something that would be equivalent of piss off, And so I ran, and that was it.
भी जो है उनके एजेंडे पे काम कर रहे हैं और ये बजाय इसके और ये करने की हमने मिसाल दी थी कि पेशावर जाने के बजाय GHQ को आज क्यों नहीं जाते।
ख्वाजा साहब साथ ही रहिएगा, मैं चाहूंगा कि खान साहब इसका जवाब भी दे लें। बड़ा अच्छा है कि हम इसे क्लैरिफाई करें कि ऐसा ही कहाँ इसमें आती है और किस जमात का क्या रोल है। जी खान साहब।
देखिए नदीम, मैं बिल्कुल ख्वाजा साहब के साथ बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं। आपने अगर मुझे बताते कि ख्वाजा साहब आ रहे हैं तो मैं कभी आपके प्रोग्राम पे ना आता। उसकी वजह है इन्होंने मेरे ऊपर झूठे इल्जाम लगाए टीवी के ऊपर बैठ और उन्होंने पूरा प्रोग्राम किया। इनको चाहिए कि हमारे एक नुमाइंदे के साथ बैठे, ये इल्जाम लगाएं, वो नुमाइंदा पहले सारे हम पहले अपने क्लियर करेंगे इल्जाम, फिर हम इनके ऊपर बताएंगे कि हमारे
खुद बैठ जाए मेरे साथ। मैं
आपके साथ बैठता नहीं हूँ। आप अगर किसी को लेके आना नवाज शरीफ को मेरे सामने ले।
Lovely ladies around the pool. There again is Sharon Tate. And did you know the Bill Trevilla won his Academy Award for designing clothes not for a woman but for an Errol Flynn picture? We're talking to Miss Sharon Tate, and we're aboard the Princess Italia after the premiere of Valley of the Dolls. And may we offer our congratulations. I guess this is your first major dramatic role. The part calls for someone who is beautiful as well as talented, and the beauty is required because of several of the scenes, and I hesitate to mention what they are, but they are very daring. Can you tell us how one gets in the mood to do something as daring as the disrobing you do in the film? There, I said it.
Well, I don't think there's any mood. I think if you try to prepare yourself, you fall flat on your face.
Face?
Yeah. Actually, it's very good, you know, because it's something so difficult to do. And I found that if you forget more what you're doing, you know, and try not to be so self-conscious about things that are so normal, people don't notice you as much as if you're, you know, trying to be so shy about everything.
Well, I guarantee you will be noticed by this scene as well as others. And talking about scenes in which you'll be noticed, there's a very tender scene with you and Tony Scotti, and I think we'd like to show that to our audience now, and also know that they'll want to see the rest of the film and your performance. And we thank you so very much, and congratulations to you, Miss Sharon Tate.
Thank you.
And now we'll take a look at this scene from Valley of the Dolls.
You've given me. Did you never worry that I come to depend on you? I gave you.
Okay, and now The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, the new film directed by Julian Schnabel, of all people, the great artist. And we're sitting here with, I guess, one of the most beautiful women in the world, certainly one of the most important screen actresses today, and especially in France. It's Emmanuelle, and how do you pronounce your last name? Seigné.
Yes.
Seigné, je parle un peu, but
yeah.
I'm never quite sure. So let's tell our viewers about The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Are you the butterfly in it?
No, I'm not. I play Jean-Dominique's Bobby ex-wife.
Oh, okay.
She's a woman that has been left by him just like 6 months before the accident. And so she comes to see him, and it's it's a very affective part and very moving, because she's still in love with him, but at the same time she forgives him, and at the same time she's very hurt.
Well, she also, I mean, we have to explain that he
Yes.
is injured in an accident and reduced to only being able to
blink one eye.
And how he overcomes
Yes.
that is just
Amazing. Makes you want to live and do things. And
We have a weird homicide.
In a scene described by one investigator as reminiscent of a weird religious rite, 5 persons, including actress Sharon Tate, were found dead at the home of Miss Tate and her husband, screen director Roman Polanski. Miss Tate, who starred in Valley of the Dolls, was 8 months pregnant and was found in a bikini-type nightgown with a rope around her neck attached to the body of a man.
2 bodies inside, 2 bodies outside.
Among the other victims were Hollywood hairstylist Jay Sebring and coffee heiress Abigail Folger. Authorities would allow no one in an unofficial capacity inside the posh $200,000 home in the hills overlooking Los Angeles. When police arrived, they found the telephones and electricity lines cut. The bodies had been dead about 12 hours. They were discovered this morning by a maid who ran screaming to neighbors. One officer summed up the murders when he said, "In all my years, I have never seen anything like this before."
While the police admitted they had no suspects in the Bel Air massacre, there were 2 more murders 15 miles away in the Silver Lake section of Los Angeles. Market owner Leo LaBianca and his wife Rosemary were found by their children stabbed and mutilated. The word war was carved into LaBianca's chest, and "Death to Pigs" was smeared in the blood of one of the victims. The word pig had been scrawled in blood on the door of the Bel Air mansion, where actress Sharon Tate and 4 others were slain, but police said, despite the similarities, they do not believe the crimes are linked.
A scream a minute. A nightmare of fiendish horror. Unbelievable until you see it with your own horror-stricken eyes.
Since I've been here, I've been trying to capture a wolf to extract his glands.
But tell me, Professor, have you ever experimented on yourself?
The new doctor, suspect, beauties, the prey of fiendish desires. A village up in arms.
Look there! Where? At the top of the stairs.